Hey everyone, welcome to the Married Life of Rich and Kevin. I'm Kevin, and this entry is my coming out story. You all had a chance to view Rich's, and I suppose probably the best way to begin is with even as a little kid growing up, I always knew that I was different. I did not know what that difference was. Grew up in a small Indiana farming community, multi-generational farmers, that sort of thing. And so anyway, I always knew that I was different, and always had an affinity for art and music and nature and all of this, and always preferred, I enjoyed playing with the other kids in the neighborhood, but given a choice, I always preferred my own company. And don't ever recall feeling lonely as a child. Had the great outdoors, had books out the wazoo, all of this. But never seemed to be as interested in a lot of the things that the other boys were interested in growing up. And didn't think too much of it. And I actually, now thinking about it, had a severe case of hero worship for Lee Majors at the time. That was when the $6 Million Man was having its run, and so, you know, in retrospect, that was my first boyhood crush. But you know, up until the last several years, always just chalked it up to hero worship. And not only was he the $6 Million Man, but he was also Heath Barkley on The Big Valley, and so. Cowboy and the $6 Million Man, how can you go wrong? What's not to admire? And speaking of, anybody out there at the time think that the sound that the Death Probe made was the most terrifying sound under the sun? And that sound always scared the bejesus out of me, and after I heard it in those episodes, it was even more terrifying than the sound of the man with the car. So anyway, things continued onward, and had a couple of girlfriends in high school, you know, nothing serious. And graduated, went to IU, worked part-time while I was in college full-time, so had time for studying and for my friends, and that was about it. No girlfriends, graduated college, the economy was in the toilet at the time, so spent several years working 2 full-time jobs, and which was fine. You know, that was what needed to be done. And so again, no time for dating or anything like that, and so it was easy to avoid looking at this or thinking any more about it. I remember when I landed my first real job with benefits. I ditched the bartending gig that I had, except for special occasions, because I really enjoyed the people I work with, but ditched the bartending and took up ice hockey instead. The city was just starting with some amateur leagues, and so I started playing, and as the years went by, that almost became a full-time job in addition to my other full-time job. And every once in a while, I would go out on a date, and these were perfectly suitable, well put together young women. Liked them, just never felt any kind of spark or connection. And I always felt like whenever I would go on a date, like I was on a job interview. And so it just, I did not enjoy it as much as I thought that I should. And so again, that's probably when I really started wondering if I was gay or not. But just told myself that I just had not met the right woman, and the right woman would come along if that is what is supposed to happen. And also that I was building a career, I was having fun with ice hockey, I was enjoying doing things with my friends, and there was, my time was filled, and pleasantly so. Then I finally had to, this went on for many, many years, and let's see. I guess what happened next is sort of like a main catalyst. I got picked up and accepted a position with one of the largest accounting CPA firms on the planet. And that was quite a feather in my cap, and the professional world just opened up for me at that time, and I had a blast. Loved the people that I worked with, loved the work, loved the culture, loved the environment, and it was fantastic. Was still playing ice hockey. I was getting at the tail end of my recreational amateur career there, and but this job, depending on the time of year, could require up to 70-80 hours a week. And again, I was having so much fun with it. I found my growing career to be very, very fulfilling. And once again, it was very easy to just put all this on the back burner. I had some well-meaning family members and coworkers wanting to fix me up with the nice girl. And one thing I noticed about that is with all of these fix-ups, they seem to be more concerned with finding someone decent for their friend than they were, would this person be a good fit for me? So it struck me as very one-sided, and I would poke fun and say, you just got done saying that this woman beat up her son's teacher. I don't need somebody who's a train wreck, and I'm not in the market to fix anybody. So, okay, just had to ask. And so that was how I kept, people from meddling in my love life. And something else I want to mention at this time, just as a little side note. From a technology standpoint, I am one of the last great holdouts. I did not have a laptop at home. I did not have a cell phone. I had a little flip phone. I had nothing with internet access, and I did not actually have internet in the home until Rich and I moved in together. And it was that winter that I got my first ever iPhone. So there was no getting on the websites or emailing people or looking at movies or chat rooms or anything like that during all this time. So anyway, career started advancing, and everything was fun, but I started to feel the weight of this. And at the time, well, and even still now, but at the time, this was probably 2001. Back in 2001, I started meeting each month with what you would call a spiritual director, and wonderful man, retired Episcopal priest, and that had to do with a church project that I got involved in. I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But I was meeting with this man once a month for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, and I would talk about the events of the month, and everything got framed. The frame of all of these discussions was, what does this have to do with God? Okay, so after a couple of years of doing this, I started talking with him about, I think I may be gay. I don't know. Well, anyway, after some more time, I was at our session for that month and flat out said, I'm gay. So here's the first person I came out to. And I remember that day. It was the day that the Return of the King was opening in theaters, and I had taken that day off. I had my appointment with him early that afternoon, and then that evening I was supposed to meet some friends and coworkers for dinner, and we were going to go see a late showing of the movie. So anyway, I came out to him, and he just said, you know, continue to pray about it. He goes, what do you think God's response to this is? And I had to honestly answer that I was more upset about it than I think God was, because I did not feel any sense of condemnation or disappointment. I felt like I had failed as a man by admitting this. And so left the session, got home, had several hours before I was supposed to meet my friends, and I just started bawling my eyes out, because I just thought, of course, it figures. There was no self-loathing about this acknowledgement, just a deep disappointment, like I had failed. Like I was reaching for the brass ring and just missed it. But once I came out to myself and acknowledged it, I was of course convinced that anyone afterward who looked at me would immediately know that I was gay. So there was that paranoia in there. So I had my cry. I said, God, I believe all of this is for a reason. Please help me to navigate this. And so got myself pulled together, got dressed up, met my friends, had a wonderful dinner. They did not mention anything. Excuse me, Bo, move. Kitty. They didn't mention anything. No one acted any different. Nobody looked at me funny. Nobody flinched if I got too close to them. You know, taking our seats at the table or sitting next to people in the theater itself. So I thought, okay, you know, there's no neon sign that went off. So outside of that, was enjoying my friendships, my career was rising, and I'd stopped playing ice hockey by then, but I was loving life. There were so many other good things that were going on that I thought, you know what, this isn't too bad. This isn't too bad. And since there's no reason to tell anyone about this, I will just keep it to myself. So life went on until 2010. And that is when I was 44 years old, in the early part of 2010. A lot of you may remember that is the time period, and shortly before that, you know, 2009, 2010, that's in this country when the real estate market bubble burst and the stock market tanked and Bernie Madoff did his thing and people were losing their jobs by the millions. And I was one of them. Anyone who has worked in a large accounting firm knows that utilization and billable time is everything. It doesn't matter what management or the partners say or what's on the brochures. That's all sweet. It all comes down to utilization. And we were hemorrhaging clients so fast And not because our services were bad or anything, but because of our fees. And these were people who, you know, saw all their investments and all of this just bottom out. And so cash became king, and clients were looking around to see if they could find smaller firms to get a reasonable quality of work for a significantly less price. So clients started fleeing. Many of us couldn't stay busy, and so the cuts began, and I survived 3 rounds of cuts. My number came up during the 4th round. I remember feeling a sense of relief because the guessing was over. But anyway, the firm was very, very good to me. They gave me a very generous severance package. If it was necessary, I was able to collect unemployment during this time, and I was able to keep my health insurance at the rate that it was for at least the next 18 months. So I had some breathing space. And again, I felt that just a weight lift because I didn't have to go in. We were all going into the office every single day wondering if we were going to get cut. And anytime someone would bring that up to the partners, they would always tell us, well, we know you're all professionals and we fully expect and just know that you will continue to work to your utmost abilities. And so anyway, the non-answer answer. Although I don't know, well, doesn't matter. It's over and done with. So that was in May of 2010. And statistically, I was done for because by that time I had just turned 45 and got handed my walking papers during an economic downturn that was going to last for some time. Probably, it took me about a good month to decompress from that and just kind of get my ducks in the row and see where everything was financially and if there was anything to worry about, and fortunately there wasn't. More on that in an upcoming video. So I just started to relax for the first time in a couple of years. And anyway, about 6 weeks after that, it was a Saturday morning, and I was doing laundry down in the laundry house, and I just put the clothes in the dryer. So I was in my apartment, and I was reading Ender's Game, and lounging on the couch, and then all of a sudden, my heartbeat started to go very, very rapidly. And then I felt just a growing sense of anxiety, the good kind, like you're getting ready to go on a roller coaster or something. But my heartbeat started to go more rapidly. I started feeling this sense of anxiety, and then I started feeling this tug below my breastbone, like something or someone had reached into it and was just pulling me up. And I thought, oh my God, I'm coming out today. None of this was on my mind at all. So anyway, I just knew that today was the day. So I thought, okay, plenty of time, not exactly a laundry list of people to call, my folks mainly. So I went down to get my clothes out of the dryer, and God spoke and said, no, just shove them in your laundry bag and get back upstairs. You don't need to fold them right now. Just get back upstairs, call your folks, and just let them know you're gay. So got back to my apartment. My hands were shaking a mile a minute. And so I called my folks up, and it was a short phone call. It was probably one of the shortest, hey, mom and dad, I'm gay phone calls out there. Lasted maybe 5 minutes. And it was basically, hey, hope you all doing well. Look, this probably will not come as a surprise to you, but I'm gay. And Mom was quiet for a couple of seconds and said, well, we wondered, but, you know, thought you would let us know if there was anything to tell. And they weren't disappointed, they weren't excited, and so that was pretty much it. And then I called my spiritual director and told him, and he goes, first of all, he said, congratulations. And I said, yeah, thanks, I just got off the phone with my folks. And he said, how did it go? And I said, well, you know, I don't know. I'm in my mid-40s, what's anyone gonna do to me? You know, it's not like you can throw me out of the house. It's not like you're going to cut me off financially. So, you know, whatever the worst you think you've got, you know, by all means, hit me with it. So we chatted for a few more minutes, and then that was it. And I spent the rest of the day just kind of walking around, just light as a feather. I felt like 100 pounds of lead fell off of my shoulders. And I wasn't sad, I was just elated that this was all over and done with. And let me tell you something, between the stress of carrying this around, on top of the stress of carrying, oh my gosh, am I gonna have a job by the end of the day, that was a hell of a lot of weight. And both of those weights were gone. And I had an insight that, oh my gosh, I feel like the weight of the world is off me. So that means that I'm good with this, that I'm accepting of myself with this. You would think that after you come out, and if you don't feel light, you know, to me, that doesn't mean that there's some kind of problem accepting it. I think that the opposite would happen. You would come out and you would just feel like the weight of the world descending on you. Then I think maybe you've got some deeper work to do, but I was okay with it and happy about it. And the day went on just like any other day. And I kept coming back to, what's the rush? You know, I mean, why was this so urgent that I could not even fold my clothes first? And I was outside walking around at the trails, and it was twilight, you know, maybe 9 o'clock at night or something. And I asked God that. I said, God, what's the rush? Why not, what was the sense of urgency with this? And God answered, the foundation will soon be poured. And heard that clear as a bell and thought, okay, all right, well, that's something to look forward to. And that was that. And then it was another year before I actually started meeting up with guys and going to clubs and everything. I took that year, I was doing some other stuff. I was doing some volunteer stuff. I was involved with a men's group, and we were hosting retreats. And during this time, I was also thinking about, what was this gonna look like for me? You know, it's not like I'm a teenager in high school. It's not like I'm in college. It's not like I'm in, you know, late 20s, early 30s. I'm a 45-year-old man. What is this gonna look like for me? And so anyway, I didn't put too much effort into it. I just let things develop on their own. Something else that was interesting during this time was watching the people around me discover what they really think about homosexuality, because a lot of these people, most people didn't care. And I credit that 100% to all of the people who came before and the true allies who were with them to create this environment for myself and others now. So a heartfelt thank you to all of you. But most people didn't care, and the ones that I had the biggest, or I should say the ones that had the biggest issue with it were the self-professed tolerant diversity people. And, you know, it's one thing, you know, for a lot of these folks, it's one thing when it's the fun gay couple that lives 3 houses down and, oh, they're so polite and the yard is always perfect and they give out the best treats at Halloween and they'll give you the shirt off their back and their cars are always kept clean and they're just such awesome people. Contrast that to when it's a member of your own family who comes out, or the coworker who sits next to you, or the person next to you in church, or the person you serve on a committee with. Then, at least my experience was, I got an awful lot of not in my backyard. And I would say that even to this day, the most annoying thing that I deal with is homophobia. And it's mild, but it's there. I mean, it's nothing debilitating. It's the type where you just want to turn to the person and go, really? So, and again, that's all a credit to everyone who came before. Again, it's an annoyance more than anything else. So, I did get some people expressing some disappointment that I did not kick God to the curb after it came out. And my response was, why would I? You know, God's not condemning me with any of this. He's showing me, you know, stars and magic and wonder and grace and a deepening relationship. There's no condemnation. And so I found that really annoying. They were basically telling me that my experiences were not what I was saying they were. And so anyway, the closer to God, the fewer the people. A lot of these people just kind of dropped away on their own. And that's fine. You know, everybody's journey is different and everything happens at a different pace. And one person's journey and experiences aren't any better than anyone else's. So it's not a judgment call. I guess you could call it a compatibility issue. And, you know, it doesn't mean anyone's a better person than anyone else. So I think that's pretty much it. And then, of course, when I did start meeting up with guys and all of this, found out pretty quick that, you know, clubs and websites and all of this just, you know, wasn't for me. I was grateful for that because to me, I kind of got to skip over a bunch of, you know, the crap that can go along with being involved in the gay community and all of this, just like anything else. And so, you know, genuinely believe that when the time is right, I would meet that person who I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with, and here we are. So, 28 minutes, a little long-winded. I think Rich's was only about 15 minutes. But that's pretty much it. I mean, this is one of the greatest blessings of my life. And I would not trade it for the world. So that's my story. Anyone who has, you know, any questions, the faith in God aspect of all of this will be focused on in some other videos, as well as more about affinity with nature and the natural world and all of this. I had some experiences early this year that have convinced me that there were some druids in the ancestral bloodline. So that mixed with Christianity is been really, really cool. So anyway, that's it. Everybody, please, if you like our video, please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And also follow us on Instagram, Married Life of Rich and Kevin. We'll put all that in the description. Everybody take care. Blessings to you all, and we'll talk soon.